£60,000. That's how much the average UK house price has dropped in some regions in less than a year. Just 12 months ago, the market was booming, buyers outbidding each other, homes selling in days. Now, properties are sitting unsold for months. Sellers are slashing prices and experts are sounding the alarm. The UK property bubble is bursting. For years, people believed home prices could only go one way up. But the cracks are now impossible to ignore. Mortgage approvals have collapsed, repossessions are on the rise, and even seasoned landlords are jumping ship. Something big is happening, and most people have no idea just how deep this goes. Why are so many homes suddenly unaffordable? What's causing buyers to back off? And could this lead to a housing crash worse than 2008? This isn't just about numbers. It's about families being priced out, young people giving up on owning a home, and entire neighborhoods bracing for change. From soaring interest rates to foreign investors disappearing overnight, there are powerful forces at play that could reshape the market for years to come. If you think the UK housing market is still safe, you may want to think again. This video breaks down the 10 most urgent reasons why the bubble is not just leaking, it's on the verge of popping. And by the time we're done, you'll see the signs for yourself and understand why the real estate game has changed forever. Number 1. Soaring interest rates. The Bank of England has been aggressively raising interest rates to combat inflation, pushing borrowing costs to levels not seen in over a decade. This has had a seismic effect on the UK housing market. For homeowners and prospective buyers, the era of ultra-cheap mortgages is officially over. Rates that once hovered around 1 to 2% have now surged past 5 to 6%, dramatically changing what people can afford. As a result, many potential buyers are being priced out of the market. A monthly mortgage payment that was once manageable has now doubled or even tripled for some. This has led to a sharp decline in mortgage approvals as banks become more cautious and buyers rethink their budgets. The affordability crisis is not theoretical. It's happening right now, affecting real families across the UK. The knock-on effect? Demand is dropping fast, fewer buyers mean fewer bids, and properties are sitting unsold for longer. Sellers are being forced to reduce their asking prices, sometimes multiple times, just to attract attention. Estate agents are reporting that viewings have slowed dramatically, and bidding wars, once common in hot markets, are becoming rare. Higher interest rates also mean that investors and landlords are pulling back. With increased borrowing costs and reduced profitability, many are deciding it's no longer worth the risk. Some are offloading properties before prices fall further, adding more supply to an already cooling market. This isn't just a blip, it's a structural shift. The psychology of the market is changing. People are no longer rushing to buy out of boast of missing out. Instead, they're waiting, watching, and preparing for the next drop. And with interest rates showing no signs of easing soon, the pressure on the housing bubble is only getting more intense. Number 2. Mortgage approvals. Plummeting. Across the UK, mortgage approvals are falling at a pace that's alarming both analysts and homeowners. According to recent data from the Bank of England, monthly mortgage approvals have dropped to their lowest level since the 2020 lockdowns. But this time, it's not because of a pandemic. It's because people can't afford to borrow. Higher interest rates are making mortgages unreachable for many. A home that required a £1,200 monthly payment last year might now demand £1,800 or more, pricing out thousands of buyers. Lenders are tightening their requirements, demanding higher deposits, better credit scores, and more financial stability. The days of easy borrowing are officially over. First-time buyers, in particular, are being hit the hardest. With wages failing to keep up with inflation and property prices still elevated, getting approved has become a near impossible task. Many are forced to delay or abandon their dreams of owning a home, turning instead to long-term renting, even if that too is becoming unaffordable. Even those who manage to get approved are being pushed towards shorter fixed-rate terms with much higher monthly repayments. This increases the risk of future payment shocks, especially if rates continue to rise. Confidence is being eroded at the most fundamental level, the belief that property ownership is a secure and achievable goal. Estate agents are reporting fewer inquiries, fewer viewings, and more failed deals. Chains are collapsing midway as buyers get cold feet or fail to secure financing. The ripple effect is powerful. When approvals drop, sales fall. When sales fall, prices follow. This is not a side effect. It's a central signal that the property bubble is weakening. As mortgage approvals continue to plummet, the foundations of the UK housing market are being quietly but steadily undermined. Number 3. Overvalued property prices. For years, property prices in the UK have surged far beyond what fundamentals justify. Analysts from major institutions, including UBS and The Economist, warn that UK homes are now overvalued by up to 20%, particularly in cities like London, Manchester, and Bristol. These prices aren't supported by wage growth, rental yields, or local economic output. They're inflated by years of cheap credit and speculative buying. During the boom, low interest rates and government incentives like Help to Buy created artificial demand. Buyers stretched their budgets, often bidding far above asking prices, convinced that property could only go up in value. This led to a self-reinforcing cycle, where rising prices encouraged more aggressive lending, which in turn pushed prices even higher. But when assets are priced far above their intrinsic value, they become vulnerable. History shows us that such imbalances almost always lead to corrections. The UK housing market now mirrors conditions seen before the 2008 financial crisis, when prices also far outpaced income growth and affordability metrics. Worryingly, rental returns in many areas no longer justify the high purchase costs. Landlords are realising this too, prompting many to exit the market. When investors lose confidence and leave, prices often follow downward. New buyers are growing cautious. Many are conducting their own research and discovering that the cost of buying today far exceeds the long-term value of the property. That's leading to buyer hesitation, price renegotiations, and even last-minute withdrawals. Overvalued markets don't need a crash. They simply need reality to set in. And that's exactly what's happening. With rising mortgage rates, dropping demand, and investor retreat, inflated property values are being challenged like never before. Once perception shifts, a correction often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Number 4. Falling house prices already underway. After years of unstoppable growth, UK house prices are now falling, and not just by a little. Data from major lenders like Halifax and Nationwide shows multiple consecutive months of price declines. In some regions, average home values have dropped by 5 to 10% within the span of a year. The downward trend has begun, and it's picking up momentum. Cities that once led the boom, such as London, Edinburgh, and Leeds, are now seeing some of the sharpest corrections. Homes are sitting on the market for longer periods, with fewer viewings and less competition. Sellers who once held firm on price are now accepting lower offers, often out of urgency or financial pressure. This isn't just market noise, it's a shift in buyer psychology. People are no longer willing to overpay. Instead of fear of missing out, buyers now worry about buying at the peak and seeing their home value fall. That change in mindset creates a chain reaction. Fewer bids, slower sales, and a rise in price reductions. Estate agents are reporting a surge in listings marked price reduced, and many sellers are having to cut multiple times before getting any traction. This signals that the supply-demand balance is changing rapidly, and prices are reacting in real time. Even the luxury market, once considered immune, is showing cracks. Properties valued above $1 million are taking longer to sell, with discounts becoming more common. Developers are also offering incentives and perks just to move inventory. What's unfolding is a natural correction from years of inflated growth. As confidence fades and financial pressure builds, more sellers are being forced to adjust their expectations. These early drops are often just the beginning, especially in markets where homes were most overvalued. Number 5. Surge in repossessions. A troubling trend is emerging in the UK housing market a sharp rise in home repossessions. As interest rates climb and mortgage repayments become unmanageable, more homeowners are defaulting on their loans. According to the Ministry of Justice, repossession claims have surged by over 30% in the past year alone, and the numbers are still climbing. Families who bought at the peak of the market, when borrowing was cheap and optimism was high, are now facing financial strain they didn't anticipate. Many took out variable rate mortgages, which have become significantly more expensive in just a few months. As monthly payments spike, some households are left with no safety net. Charities like Shelter and Citizens Advice report an increase in people seeking help for mortgage arrears and eviction threats. These aren't isolated cases. They're part of a growing wave. The cost of living crisis, combined with rising mortgage rates, has pushed many into a position where they must choose between paying their mortgage or their energy bill. Repossession doesn't just affect the families involved. It also impacts neighborhood property values, especially when repossessed homes are sold at discounted rates to recover debts. These sales can drag down comparable home values in the area, creating a downward spiral that accelerates a market correction. Lenders are also growing cautious. The increase in defaults makes banks less willing to lend, tightening credit conditions even further. This limits the number of eligible buyers, putting more pressure on sellers to lower their prices. A rise in repossessions is one of the clearest signs that the property bubble is cracking. It reflects deeper instability in the market, where even existing homeowners can no longer hold on. And as this trend spreads, it fuels a sense of fear and urgency, which only adds more downward momentum. Number 6. Landlords selling off in droves. A silent but powerful force is reshaping the UK property market. Landlords are leaving. Across the country, buy-to-let investors are offloading properties at an increasing rate. Why? Because the numbers no longer add up. Rising interest rates, tax changes, and new regulations have squeezed profit margins to the point where many landlords say, enough is enough. Once considered a safe, passive investment, rental properties are now becoming a financial burden. Higher mortgage rates mean landlords are paying significantly more to service loans. At the same time, rent caps and maintenance costs are eating into returns. Many are finding their once profitable properties are now cash flow negative. The abolition of mortgage interest tax relief, along with the increase in stamp duty for second homes, has further discouraged buy-to-let ownership. Landlords feel targeted, over-regulated, and under-rewarded. For many, the logical move is to sell now, before the market softens further. Property portals and estate agents confirm the trend. There's a notable uptick in listings labelled as tenanted property for sale or former buy-to-let. These homes are flooding the market, especially in cities like Birmingham, Liverpool, and parts of London, where investor ownership was high. This surge in supply is not being met with equal demand. Owner-occupiers aren't stepping in fast enough, and first-time buyers are still constrained by affordability. The result? Prices are coming down as sellers compete to offload quickly. The mass exit of landlords also impacts the rental market, reducing available homes and pushing rents up for tenants. But in the broader housing landscape, it signals that investor confidence is eroding. When those who once propped up the market begin to leave en masse, it sends a powerful message. The bubble is no longer sustainable. Number 7. Wage growth not keeping up. One of the most critical cracks in the UK property market lies in the widening gap between house prices and wages. Over the last decade, property values have soared, while real wage growth has remained painfully slow. Today, the average house in the UK costs nearly 9 times the average annual income, a figure that is historically unsustainable. Even as inflation pushes everyday costs higher, salaries have failed to keep pace. The Office for National Statistics, ONS, confirms that wage increases are being outstripped by rising costs, leaving households with less disposable income. For most people, affording a home isn't just difficult, it's financially out of reach. This disconnect has created a massive affordability crisis. First-time buyers are particularly affected. needing larger deposits and longer mortgage terms just to qualify. Many are turning to parents for help or delaying buying altogether. And even when they do purchase, they're often stretching themselves financially thin, making them vulnerable to rate hikes. For existing homeowners, stagnant wages mean less capacity to absorb rising mortgage payments. When costs rise but income doesn't, defaults become more likely. The housing market depends on buyers being able to pay, and when incomes stall, so does demand. In some regions, particularly in the southeast and Greater London, home prices are now so detached from local wages that only those with substantial wealth or dual incomes can enter the market. This exclusionary trend is changing the makeup of communities and limiting social mobility. As affordability worsens, fewer people can buy, and sellers must lower their expectations. That shift pulls down prices, creating further uncertainty. Without strong wage growth to support current valuations, the foundation of the housing market becomes weaker. And that weakness is now starting to show through. Number 8. Construction slowing down. The UK housing market isn't just struggling with sales, it's also facing a significant slowdown in construction. Major house builders like Barratt Developments, Taylor Wimpey, and Persimmon have all announced cuts to new projects, citing weak demand, rising costs, and economic uncertainty. When builders stop building, it's not because they're out of bricks, it's because they see a storm coming. Developers rely on buyer confidence. When the market is hot, homes sell quickly off plan, and construction thrives. But in today's climate, many buyers are hesitant or unable to commit. This is forcing builders to scale back, delay launches, or even cancel entire developments. High material costs, ongoing labour shortages, and new regulatory burdens have made it even more expensive to build. Combined with dropping house prices, the profit margin on new homes is shrinking fast. For many firms, it's safer to pause activity than to build homes they might not sell. The government's push to build 300,000 homes per year has fallen far short, and this trend only deepens the gap. While a construction slowdown might sound like it would support prices by limiting supply, it's actually a sign of market fragility. When builders lose confidence, it reflects deeper systemic issues. Local economies are also affected. Construction supports thousands of jobs: planners, tradespeople, Sargschutter, suppliers, and estate agents. When projects stall, so does employment, which then affects consumer spending, rental demand, and broader economic stability. This pullback also discourages future investment. If developers see the current market as unviable, they'll redirect capital elsewhere, creating long-term underbuilding. And when supply fails to meet future demand, the cycle of boom and bust only gets worse. The current slowdown is not just a symptom, it's a signal. Builders are warning that the market is too unstable to risk further investment, and that warning should not be ignored. Number 9. Decline in foreign investment. For decades, the UK, especially London, has been a top destination for foreign property investors, but that trend is changing fast. International buyers are now pulling back, and the effects are rippling across the entire housing market. The once relentless flow of capital from abroad is slowing due to a mix of economic, political, and regulatory challenges. The impact of Brexit continues to weigh heavily. Uncertainty around trade, immigration, and the UK's global standing has made the country less attractive for long-term investment. Add in a volatile currency, and foreign investors now see UK property as less stable and less profitable than before. Governments from China, Hong Kong, and Singapore have also imposed stricter capital controls, making it harder for their citizens to invest overseas. These countries were once among the biggest buyers of UK real estate. Their withdrawal leaves a massive demand gap, particularly in luxury flats and city centre developments. On top of that, the UK has introduced higher taxes for overseas buyers, including a 2% surcharge on top of stamp duty. While designed to level the playing field for local buyers, it's also discouraged foreign capital. Many investors are looking to alternative markets like Portugal, Dubai, or Germany, where returns are higher and regulation is lighter. Developers who relied heavily on overseas buyers are now struggling to shift units. Some luxury properties in central London have been sitting empty for months, even years, waiting for interest that isn't coming back. This decline in foreign investment is more than just a drop in transactions. It's a loss of confidence in the UK housing market from the global financial community. When even international investors start looking elsewhere, it's a clear signal that the property bubble is losing international support. Number 10. Consumer confidence crashing. One of the most telling signs that the UK property bubble is bursting is the rapid collapse in consumer confidence. People no longer believe that buying a home is a safe bet. According to surveys by GfK and YouGov, confidence in the housing market has dropped to its lowest level in over a decade. Buyers and sellers alike are now acting out of caution, not optimism. When confidence disappears, it changes everything. Buyers hold off, waiting for prices to fall further. Sellers panic, lowering their asking prices just to get interest. This creates a loop of falling demand and declining prices, which then reinforces the fear. It's not just about financial factors anymore. It's about emotions, psychology, and perception. Many people worry they'll buy a home today and see its value drop tomorrow. That fear leads to paralysis in the market. Properties stay on the market for longer, and chains collapse as buyers pull out last minute. Even those who can afford to buy are choosing to wait, watching the headlines and expecting better deals in the near future. High-profile media reports on falling prices, repossessions, and rising interest rates only fuel the anxiety. The narrative has shifted. Instead of celebrating house price rises, people now talk about risk, volatility, and negative equity. For a market built on confidence, that shift in tone is a warning sign. Sellers are also affected. Some are pulling their homes off the market entirely, hoping to wait out the storm. Others are accepting steep discounts to avoid being caught in a deeper downturn. The result? A property market that feels frozen, fragile, and unstable. When people stop believing in the value of housing, the market doesn't just slow down, it shatters. Right now, confidence is crumbling, and with it, the illusion of endless growth. The signs are clear. What was once the most trusted investment in the UK is now showing real cracks. With interest rates rising, mortgage approvals collapsing, landlords bailing out, and prices already falling, the evidence is piling up. The UK property market isn't just cooling, it's melting down. For many, this could be a painful correction. But for those paying attention, it's also a rare opportunity to understand, to prepare, and maybe even to act wisely in the face of change. Markets don't crash overnight. They whisper before they roar. And what we're seeing now is no whisper. It's a warning siren. If you've made it this far into the video, you now know more than most about what's truly happening behind the headlines. What do you think is the biggest threat to the housing market right now? Or have you experienced the impact yourself? Maybe as a buyer, seller, or landlord? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Your voice might help someone else navigating this mess. We pour our heart and research into every video. If you found this helpful, smash that like button, drop your thoughts below, and hit subscribe. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.